problem, but if we brought in data for us to just make sure that identities, there is the volumes that are being pushed are being merged properly, we're providing the right merging rules. How do you validate that? So would you look at specific profiles and just see for a specific profile, what are the attributes or like, how do you sample just to know? Because like, okay, let's say take an example, Adobe Analytics, it has a direct connection. So it's something where we just enable it and then data will start flowing in a few hours. But then let's say one of the fields in Adobe Analytics is an EVAR, which is a customer ID, and that's going to be my primary identity. So I went ahead and I added it to the profile. But then I brought in my ID, let's say my own CRM, which is keyed off that particular customer ID. And I feed it into the system, it's the same primary ID. How do I validate that actually this merge is happening? Like how do I just trust the system, or there is ways for me to validate that?
Basically, like the validations are done in the different environments first. We should have the environments to do all these validations first, instead of directly putting into the production environment and putting directly into the data. So we should have some development or sandboxes. We should put in the data, and you should do the validations on that. So while doing the validation, you have the different identities are set. So based on the identity, go to the unified profile section of the Adobe Experience Platform. You can pass that identity value there, so which gives all the attributes for that particular field. Example, you said CRM data, loyalty ID is the primary identity. So you can pass that to unified profile and see the data is coming or not. If the data is coming, we can compare with our source and then see whether this data is matching or not. That way we can.
What about what? Yeah, but I'm more interested in knowing that data is stitching. Like, should I run queries? Like, do I run queries using query service and say, hey, how many of the IDs that are coming in source A match to IDs in source B? Would that be a way as well?
Yeah, that we can do it. Either way, so you can use the query service UI is there. From there, you can match stitching the values between the two different sources or multiple sources. That way it will do. Or else you can go for the API as Bhuban mentioned, and we can get the data and match the records. The way is different ways are there. So the simple way is go to the Adobe UI and you have the query service is there, and there you can stitch the data and find out the matching between the two different data sources.